So, Andrew Taggart,
Yes.
here we are in the Central Park, and you were mentioning about giving economy that you are into. That sounds really interesting to me. Please.
Yeah, my funding model and my philosophy practice is entirely a gift economy, and the idea seems to be pretty elemental. When things are going well in life, there does not seem to be scarcity as the starting point. Rather, there's plenitude, a lot, fecundity, flowers, as it were. And so when you and I are having a conversation, it would be strange for you to pay me for philosophical insight. How much would you pay me, right? That's the joke, right? It seems puzzling.
Yeah.
That's not a service. So what if it's the case that you and I are developing a relationship of giving and receiving well?
Yeah.
I'm giving you good thoughts and good words. You're receiving good thoughts and words, and we're moving along nicely together. Then it might be that you'd want to contribute to a way of life to which you belong. But it wouldn't be you giving to me in particular. It would be you giving at that point to all of us who share in this life, in order to ensure that it's sustainable, that it continues on, because we want good things to continue on. And so there'd be any kinds of things. You would be giving me praise. You would be at some point providing some monetary support, but a very vague way, because it wouldn't be tit for tat. It wouldn't be this for that. You would be giving gifts, little gifts, and I too would be participating in this as well. And what you learn is that it's a good form of indebtedness. It's the kind in which we draw each other closer together. Because you can't ever pay me back for philosophical insight. If you know yourself better, there's no sense in which you can pay me back. You can only continue to give and give generously. And I too can continue to give and give generously. And that continues to bring us from here to here. So the gift economy really is just the lifeblood of what we're otherwise doing with our words and deeds and virtues and our way of being in the world. Nothing more, nothing less.
So there's no currency in this economy.
There's the money does pass hands, but it's not a currency, because it's not in the sense of you are paying me for this many items.
No.
There's no exchange value.
No.
There's no X equals Y.
And how far have you come in the implementation of this? How big part of your life is it?
That's the only way I live.
The only way?
That's the...
Okay.
When I'm with this group of people, these 10 people, my philosophy practice is fully funded by this model. I can live on it month to month to month and so on.
This pays your rent?
Yes, this pays my rent.
Yeah.
This covers all costs, and there is a large enough savings to ensure for lean times. Right. So, but it's more like a common fund, though I'm the one who is the holder, as it were, of the fund. It's not mine, so to say, right? It's ours.
Fund? What does it look like, the fund?
It looks like a bank account, but I mean to say it's not so much about me getting paid.
No.
It's about a level of funding that ensures that we can continue to, by we I mean not just you and me, but me and Jane and me and John. All of us can continue to examine our lives together. Whatever is sufficient, whatever is just enough to ensure that day over day, end over end, season over season, whether it be a time of harvest, so to speak, or a time of leanness, that we continue to do this together.
And you're keeping some kind of an account So it's something you can in some way calculate.
I could if I wanted to.
So in what way do you put down what's on the account? What's the currency, or what's the denomination, or what it's called?
It's even easier than that. I don't really follow closely the inflow and flowing in and flowing out.
No.
It's rather that there's no set agreements that
No.
would still get into tit for tat. It's that anyone supports it on an ongoing basis and therefore is contributing to it.
So are you speaking out loud that now you're on minus, you're on plus, or do you go into in a smoother way to make the balance in the system, or?
The smoothness comes out of a certain form of generosity. It's not that one person. So it's not that everyone's contributing the same amount. Clearly, some have never contributed, never been able to, because they're out of work. Some are in lines of work where they make more money, so there are subsidies coming in. However, what you find is that if my work is going well, if I spend time with someone and her life is coming into order, into balance, it's becoming more sustainable, things are making sense, work tends to, as it were, take care of itself. So at a point in the future, she is able to line up work because it hangs together with a good way of life.
Okay.
And she is able to contribute something. So what you find is that there's patience and courage involved in allowing for, what's her name's Jane, allowing for Jane to have a few months of conversations on an ongoing basis without even thought of a monetary transaction. Not even the thought of it, just the work itself, under self-understanding. And at a later point, if things are actually going well, and she's been generous, right? She's been giving me good words, she's been sharing her life with me, she's been incredibly vulnerable. I've always found it to be the case that this person's able to be generous in all myriad kinds of ways.
Okay. So it requires...
And the reason why it requires patience and courage on my part, it also requires the understanding of other people who are in the practice to continue to contribute.
Presence about what's happening in the group, and does everybody get what they need, or...
That's the important thing. It also brings us back to Jesus and Marx, both of whom said that you get according to need. Right. So I'm also thinking about who is most in need, who requires the greatest level of attention on this day or during this period. And that's also going to change as people are making better sense of things themselves. It might be that there's one person who's really in need, despairing, actually nearing suicide. Suicide is, as Camus says, is one of the great philosophical problems. I don't know why I'd want to live any longer. I don't think that life is justifiable. That's probably someone in despair and anguish who's going to need our holding. And once and I see this, and after a few months, once as the insect comes our way, we see this after a few months where she's starting to make further sense of things, starting to see how she fits together in life itself, going along with the way. She finds work as one particular aspect of a good way of life. She herself is able to contribute and give generously. But it's not as if the money is, as I say, the only form of contribution. She's been contributing throughout.
And I was talking with a person yesterday about the people that we consider criminal in society.
Right.
How we are co-creating what they are doing by not being aware that they are in despair, in some kind of need that we haven't been able to meet.
Right.
And they have, and so sometimes they will even do stuff that is not really coming from them, I think.
Right.
Because we're so interconnected that the fear that you and I don't carry responsibly on our own, other people will take over. You know, you always see that in school classes where there's some that are sort of vulnerable to that kind of energy that others cannot hold themselves, and so they do stuff that's not really them, but they get to bear the consequences.
I think that's right, and I think we see a lot of, at least in philosophical terms, epistemological problems. That is, problems concerning how we know what we know, or problems with doubt. And we think that those are problems that are individualistic, and that if I doubt something, I need to come to a sense of certainty. I think in most cases those are actually social questions. That is, this person's been left behind, or been removed somehow, or isn't able to see how she fits into the order of things, how her life hangs together. And if that's right, then what we need actually is to show her good hands.
Yeah.
If she's despairing, then we need to attend to her despair, and we come in and we wrap ourselves around her. We find ways of putting words to the experience she's had, because she's also wordless at this point, and wordless in a bad way, not the silence we talked about before, the silence of understanding, but the silence of I don't know what's going on with me, and I'm deeply afraid because I have no words or understanding for what's happening and why it's happening. So if we're imagining a community of good people coming around her, they're also enveloping her not just in their hands, but also in good words. Tell us about yourself. Let's inquire together. Let's figure this out. Let's see how you can be brought back into the human fold.
And then again, as we've been talking about before, it's being able to hold that space where vulnerability may exist,
right,
without endangering the feeling of unity. And
I think that's right. And you also, by the way, get rid of this problem that I'm sure you deal with as well. It's called the free rider problem. That is, this is a way of not worrying about the free rider problem, because the free rider problem says I want to get, and I don't want to contribute to anything that's really going on here. But if you have someone who's, let's take this person we've been talking about who's in despair, if we actually help this person make sense of herself, bring her back into the sense of unity, then of course she would want to contribute to what matters most to her. Of course she'd want to contribute to the common good. There's no free rider problem for her. It wouldn't come up. She wants to find herself in this way of life.
And that also would benefit from a narrative that says that you're not rich until you have something to share, to give.
Right. That's right.
As long as you're collecting stuff, you're acting out of not enough. Yet.
That's right. To be rich in a philosophical sense is to be able to offer something of value to all of us.
Yeah.
And to do so not out of fear, but perhaps out of love.
Let's get rich as hell.